Hey guys, King of Trials here to be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today I bring to you my best ABB team for Fighting Cup Remix. This is Poliwrath, Toxicroak Say Swap, and then he's Swaying Cecil to close out. Double poison means if you can take out your opponent's throw, guess what? You are able to just run over your opponent. And by the way, I get this pretty ridiculous 5-0 with this team. I will show you a lot of mistakes my opponents make and just some things that you shouldn't do. Like, make sure you are being tentative of your battles, because I have one battle in here where my opponent literally eats a move, starts tapping later, and I have no idea if they lagged, but it looks like they just weren't paying attention. So yes, make sure you pay attention if y'all are playing Go Battle League, because there is no pause button, unfortunately. But before we get started, I'm going to pause for a sec, and I'm going to give you my therapist mental health tip of the day. As usual, you could skip this by going straight to the chapters. So, this is going to be, what is resilience? What is resilience, and what does it mean to be resilient? What resilient is and isn't. So I had someone comment on my YouTube channel, and this was really condescending of them. They said something to the effect of, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or you're a leftist, capitalist, something politician, and said I should study psychology in the UK, without them knowing that psychology and clinical psychology are two different things. Actually, psychology and psychotherapy are two different things, unless it's clinical psychology. Then psychotherapy and clinical psychology are the same things. But that just shows you the lack of empathy and resiliency from this person. If you automatically default to politics, you're not a very empathic person. You're probably not very resilient, because all you do is think that someone is going to be a political POS instead of actually being empathetic and being resilient to your own biases. So what is resilience? Resilience is a common psychological term that seemingly everyone uses to describe what it takes to overcome stress. But resilience isn't necessarily a state to strive or something to work towards. So it can be seen both as positively and negatively. And it doesn't resist in a vacuum. We all respond to stress differently, and then the message that we should be resilient is harmful when there's an exception to be resilient in the face of adversity or trauma. So there's a lot of different things like racism, systemic racism, socioeconomics, and of course mental and physical health. So everyone else has a different level of resiliency, and everyone else has a different identity when it comes to resilience. So it can mean different things. So your definition might not match someone else's. So in my case with that person, my definition matched their political way of doing things, even though I'm apolitical, so I don't vibe with politics. It was really weird. And that person deleted their comment soon after, so it was very interesting. But this article is great. Again, it's from Psych Central. Psych Central is great because all articles are reviewed by mental health professionals or specialists in the field. It gives you a great example of resilient behaviors and why resilience is important. For example, you recognize the impermanence of difficulties. You see setbacks as opportunity for growth. You have tools to manage your stress and emotions. You recognize that many things are out of control, and you have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. These are just a few examples of resilient behaviors, but this is a really great article that identifies resilience and why resilience is important, so definitely take a look at this. Without further ado, this is my top ABB team for the Fighting Cup. Remember, keep overcoming and process your feelings and continue building resilience so you become a beast in Go Battle League and in everything you do in life. And without further ado, here's my sweet 5-0 with this ABB team, and let's get started. Alright, here are the battles. We have Poliwrath on a Hitmontop. So I actually have no idea how this matchup goes, but because Poliwrath charges faster than Hitmontop does, and Hitmontop has Stone Edge in close combat, and I have Scald. So I'm hoping Scald debuffs, and it actually doesn't. Plus, Hitmontop is kind of squishy. It's not quite the teddy bear, but you know, this breakdancing capoeira destroyer of worlds of your elo, if it happens to hit a close combat, it's going to give you a really rough time. As you see, I catch a Stone Edge. I decided to shield. I didn't actually need to shield that, but I didn't want to get close combat either. As you see here, we're going to go ahead and let Poliwrath go. This is either going to be a Stone Edge or a close combat, and it is a close combat. Because of that, I should be able to farm down safely with Toxicroak. Now, here's where our opponent realizes that they jack up. They're like, oh wait, that Toxicroak has an energy lead. And yes, sir, I do have an energy lead. Toxicroak with an energy lead is incredibly dangerous in this cup. Because Toxicroak, nothing real outside of like things like Chesnaught, nothing really outright resists Mudbomb or Chesnaught, or what is it? Chesnaught, as well as like Buzzwole. Well, not Buzzwole's. Is Buzzwole? I don't know. I don't think Buzzwole's allowed. Or basically anything that resists Mudbomb. But as you see here, we're going to be able to straight Mudbomb here, and now our opponent has no shields. I'm going to send in my Hisuian Sneasel, and then this is game. Because all I have to do is close combat for the dub. This is what's great about all of these Pokemon, is that usually all three of them have a great chance of nuking the unholy bejesus out of your opponent. Toxicroak, not so much, but Toxicroak is factually, like I mentioned, the best safe switch in this game. In the meta. So, if it was in the game, that'd be amazing. But you know what? Toxicroak Fighter, the one that, if you watch the anime, Toxicroak or Croagunk basically cock-blocked Brock and just punched his freaking throat. Poison jabbed his gut and then took away for all of their joy. It's hilarious. Anyways, as you see here, we got Toxicroak. I have to say switch right away because we have Heracross on a Toxicroak. Now, here's what happens here. Even though I eat this close combat, this actually isn't that bad. I'm able to grab a shield here, and I'm hoping to grab a second one, but I'm unable to. Now we got shield advantage, and we have a Poliwrath on well, they have a Shadow Poliwrath, and I have a Sway and Sneasel left. But here I make a really, like, 2,000, well, not really 2,000 IQ play, but you're going to see here. So, as you see here, they have a Dynamic Punch, and this actually really sucks because Dynamic Punch does an enormous amount of damage. Scald Ice Punch is the preferred moveset, but Dynamic Punch allows you to hit other Poliwraths. It allows you to hit other Poliwraths, and Dynamic Punch, it hits like a truck. So, if it's not resisted. I have to shield the second Dynamic Punch. I'm going to go down, and as you see, I'm just going straight Scald. My idea here is what I'm going to do is I'm going to Scald my opponent, then I'm going to swap to his Swing Sneasel and go ahead and farm down this Poliwrath. If I time it right, I should be able to take out this Poliwrath, and I do. Now I have 2 Shadow Claws worth of energy. And now I have a lot of control over this matchup. I fire the Aerial Ace, and even if they were out of move, I win CMP, which is really great. Aerial Ace goes through, and I still have a shield, mind you. So then we get a Toxicroak, and this is game. Because all I have to do is get to another Aerial Ace. This might not outright kill. However, Hisuian Sneasel's attack is just so godforsakingly high that even though Aerial Ace is an absolutely terrible freaking move, this is going to do a ton of damage, and it's going to get us the dub. Hisuian Sneasel is only accessible, I forgot. It's accessible only in eggs, I believe. I forgot when it was, but I managed to hatch mine when I was hanging out with my brother in San Jose. We were riding around with electric scooters, and I hatched all my eggs. So here's one thing you should always do. You should always pay attention when you battle. So as you see here, I thought my opponent lagged out, but after this Scald lands, you're going to see what happens after the fact. So it's not that my opponent lagged out, it's just they weren't paying attention. Because as you see here, when the Mienshao goes down, they're going to send in their next spawn, and then they're going to be tapping. Which means my opponent wasn't actually like... My opponent's like, oh wait, my battle started. So I actually don't feel that bad. There could have been a variety of other possibilities, but if you're tapping this late, then that means you just weren't paying attention. My opponent shields, and we get the attack debuff on Scald, which is great, because now I don't have to shield anything my opponent lands. They can shoot Scald, they can shoot Ice Punches or Dynamic Punches, but I should be able to lift at least 2 moves at this point because I get that Scald debuff. This is pretty much game over. I still have a whole Toxicroak as well as a whole Hisuian Sneasel. I don't know why you're playing Mienshao, sir, but Mienshao was not the answer for this day. I'm not going to shield the second Dynamic Punch. I should live with a little bit of HP, and they actually tried to Scald bait me, so I'm like, why? Why not just go straight Dynamic Punch and take me out? Because if that was Dynamic Punch, I definitely would have been put in danger. My own Scald comes through, and we're going to put this Poliwrath dangerously low. And what's happening here is I still have a Toxicroak and Hisuian Sneasel. So I still have 2 whole mons and shield advantage. So I'm going, remember I told you about Toxicroak getting that energy advantage? Well, now we have a Toxicroak with energy advantage, and my opponent is pretty screwed. Here we have an Hisuian Sneasel, and this is already game, because all I have to do is just use up all my shields, Mud Bomb, and then this is game. So, again, my opponent probably wasn't paying... My opponent could have lagged, but another time they probably weren't paying attention, so that's game. And unfortunately, until they fix... Well, there should be an I don't know why this is in the game, but there should be an option to pause the game. You know what I mean? It's like if you watch anime, all of the isekai genre is incredibly popular, where someone dies, comes back to life, and it becomes something new. So I don't know how isekai became so incredibly popular, but it really is. And I love isekai animes, and for some odd reason, Go Battle Like, without fail, always comes back to life and haunts us. For real though. Then we get a Chesnaught. So I swap out of my Poliwrath into Toxicroak, and then I get a Rock Smash Poliwrath. Before you go into battle, in a brand new cup, make sure you are using the right moveset. I even 2000 IQ my opponent by Sludge Bombing through shields. We're able to fully take down the Poliwrath, and unfortunately, because that Chesnaught's using low kick, and low kick charge is so incredibly slow, at least I think this is low kick, you should honestly use Vine Whip. But it's just pretty much game over, because all I have to do is just continuously try to Mud Bomb and break my opponent's shields. And I still have 2 whole mods, so I'm not in any danger right now. My opponent breaks both shields and uses them faster than anyone's MP in any video game that you're out there, or mana. For those of you that play video games or other video games, there's something called mana or MP, well, mana points, which is basically MP. In order to cast spells and whatnot, you must use mana. And unfortunately, my opponent doesn't have any shields right now, and they are pretty screwed. This Mud Bomb is going to hit this Infernape, and we're going, instead of you aping on us, we're going to ape on you. And then this is game. They should ideally top left, unless they really just want to watch me win with 2 shields. So yeah, that's game, and that's GG's. For the 5-0 battle, it's actually a little interesting because we got Poliwrath on Poliwrath action. So, but then you're going to see me pull something off that actually is really interesting. So, I'm using regular Poliwrath for the Shoutcast just because I don't have my Shadow Poliwrath built. I have an Ultra League Shadow one, but I don't have a Great League one. So, I'm going to opt for my regular version here. The Shadow version is better though, so if you do have the Shadow Poliwrath version, I recommend you use that one. We're going to go and hit these Scalds, and we're going to hopefully get the debuff, and we do not get the debuff. As infuriating that is, it's actually really infuriating because I really want the debuff. But it's okay. So our opponent's going to Scald us back, and then they get the debuff, and I'm like, really, dude? But, like I mentioned, this is perfectly fine. We're going to do the strat where we sack Poliwrath and Elite and get extra energy with Toxicroak. Great strategy, does wonders, and with Toxicroak with Energy Lead, it's very dangerous. So as you see, my opponent is going to go ahead and Ice Punch here and take out my own Poliwrath, so that's fine. I'm going to send in my Toxicroak, and my opponent makes this huge mistake. Don't ever send in a Toxicroak onto your opponent's Toxicroak, because they're going to be at least 1 counter or more as far as energy. And this causes our opponent to just get completely obliterated. So even if they did shield here, I have such an energy advantage that I would be able to get to 2 Mud Bombs pretty easily. They send back in their Poliwrath, but they're making the same mistake they had before, meaning you're letting my Toxicroak have farm. This is like farmer's insurance, you know what I mean? Except I'm not going to give you any money when you get taken out because that's my money. And imagine if Pokemon Go is like the main series game where you take out someone and you take their money. Just like, you know, the trader Pokemon, if you play Pokemon Red, like yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we get Surfetched on a Sneasel. So even if this person wasn't using close combat, this is game over just because, I mean, it was using counter. This is game over just because I have a shield. Surfetched Brave Birds. I can hit the close combat for bad manners and disrespect, but hey, you know, we already 5-0 and that's GG's. This is my best ABB team for the Fighting Cup Remix. As you see here, there's a lot of farm down strats, sack lead strats that you could do here, and a Swain Sneasel the back is actually a beast closer. Even though it's airless is a terrible move, its attack is so high that it does well, and as you see, here's my 5-0, and I hope y'all enjoyed the battles. And that's game. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This was a pretty sweet 5-0, considering that your back row is weak to Thoreau, but I actually faced the Thoreau after this in the lead and was able to win. That's just because Thoreau doesn't get stabbed from Zen Headbutt, and because Poliwrath is able to possibly debuff with Scald and outpace the unholy crap out of poor Thoreau. But hopefully you don't Thoreau your matches. I hope you understand. That's such a bad pun. No, seriously, it's such a bad pun, but, you know, yeah, don't throw your matches. But I hope y'all enjoyed the sweet 5-0. I hope y'all enjoyed this ABB team. It's pretty generic. I had my Swain Sneasel built from the last season. I mean, last Fighting Cup. I had one built. And then I've had my Toxicroak. And my Poliwrath that was actually from Japan. So I went to Japan for Yokohama Go Fest. And that's when I caught a bunch of Poliwag. And I caught a rank 7. 7's my favorite number. and it's my lucky number, and I happen to get a shiny rank 7 Poliwrath. So I do have a Japanese Poliwrath, and I'm grateful that it's been with me throughout my Pokemon journey so far. I can't wait to bring it with me everywhere throughout more battles. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this outcast. And if you lose the lead with this team, again with Poliwrath, you safe switch into Toxicroak, and hopefully Poliwrath and Kisway and Cecil can close out the matchup. But I hope you guys are enjoying Season 13. I actually still haven't gotten my rank yet. I don't really care for gunning for Legend this season, but you know what? I'll try to go for it if I have time. But as I mentioned, I recently just got promoted to head coach, so I'm way more focusing on trying to be the best coach I can be and trying to rebuild this program from the bottom up and hopefully create a successful season despite the fact that our season's suspended right now until probably next week, and then I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I do for my kids. But I work really hard to make sure I still pump out content, and I really do appreciate y'all and hope y'all are benefiting from content and also these teams. So, do me a huge favor, please like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your Go Battle sets, and I will see y'all on the next video.